Hello, this is Blue Star, Defender of Equestria, and this is May the 4th be with you, 2025. Roar! I was thinking about doing a video for May the 4th, but couldn't exactly decide on what. Until I went onto Disney Plus and I saw that they had posted a few more videos that there's essentially a walkthrough video for Galaxy's Edge, and I think a first for Disney of where basically they put a camera operator on the ride Rise of Resistance, and they basically just take the camera operator through the ride so you get to see the ride without having to actually go there. So, roar! And there's also some more Star Wars CGI animated I was gonna say shorts, but they're not shorts, but they're actually episodes of The Underworld. Appears to be about Asajj Ventress. I think I got that right. It's unfortunately been a while. And Cad Bane. And I haven't had an opportunity to watch that, but I love this idea though, so roar! But yeah, so first we're gonna start off with the walkthrough video for Galaxy's Edge, which I must admit makes me feel really good and almost in some ways quote-unquote validated, I must admit, because I've made walkthrough videos like these in the past, so roar! I mean, they were for conventions and stuff, and I'm sure Disney made them in some ways for the same kind of reasons that I made them, which was to just show people, hey, what is this place like, and what can you expect when you get there? So, and having made videos like this, I have to say they did a very good job of it. That they gave you an opportunity to actually look at these things, like, as, like, in one moment, like, we come through one way, and then they essentially turn around and come back the other way, and then they go around, like, another path, and instead of just walking down the path and just keeping the camera walking, you know, just like if you were just walking down the path, they actually are sort of like walking down like this, as you can sort of see the other side of the building that you had walked through before, so I like that, so, roar! And they did have some appearances from the cast, shall we say, that are actually in Galaxy's Edge, which I thought was a really good idea, because that's part of the experience of Galaxy's Edge. And by the way, I have not actually been to Galaxy's Edge, but I did watch several of the specials, the specials that were on Disney Plus, and it looks really cool. And I can't help but feel that's probably part of the reason why they're doing this, and that they're trying to, you know, look and say, ooh, look, isn't this place cool now that we've shown you what it's like? Don't you want to go there yourself? Because my first thoughts are that this may not necessarily be a good idea for the walkthrough video and the thing with the showing the ride, because, well, now that you've seen it, well, it's like, well, I've seen it, now I don't have to go there. But at the same time, that, you know, if you haven't seen it, or if you know, you might be, you know, like, really? Oh, wow, that place is really cool. I want to go experience it for myself. Yay! Because that's really the thing with both of these, you know, these lands and these rides. It's not just simply, you know, it's not just like watching a video on a screen, you know, that's not the same thing as actually being there and all that, and like, so I think that was, so I really like this idea of, you know, giving you, you know, in some ways a taste of what Galaxy's Edge and this ride are, so that, yeah, so that you might be motivated to go there. The other side of this is that if you have been there, you can be like, oh look, we were there, don't you remember when, oh, this happened over there, oh, we met this character, or this happened, so like, roar! Because, yeah, that's sort of also kind of the reason why I do, like, the walkthrough videos and sort of my vlog videos when I'm at cons, because, you know, 5-10 years from now, I'm probably not going to remember what happened on that day or what happened at the con and stuff, so now that I've recorded it in video, I can go back later and remember, oh yeah, I remember that happening, so, So yeah, so I guess specifically on Galaxy's Edge, it's like, this place is pretty cool, it really is. You really get the feeling that you're in the Star Wars universe. And yeah, they do actually have cast members who are like, you know, Kylo Ren and Rey and stuff walking around and saying like, watch out for the resistance, they're everywhere, or it's like, or it's sort of stuff like that. And I think that's a great idea, and that, I think, is the thing that Disney's tried to do a lot more of. I mean, there was a Never special for a completely different land. It was a Frozen land. I can't remember which park it was for. And one of the new attractions is that instead of just, you know, watching these animatronic figures, you know, just performing on stage, essentially, the people are actual real people, and they actually come off the stage and actually interact with this group of guests, and it's like, wow, that's really cool. So, roar! So, yeah, I mean, Galaxy's Edge is actually a pretty cool place. I mean, I think that they, I was thinking, they went down the road that I think that they inevitably have to go down, where it's like, there's all these amazing locations that they could pick from, and even what era do we do this in? And the ultimate conclusion is, we can't pick just one, so we're gonna make up a new location, but we're gonna do it in the style of Star Wars, so that you feel like this is a place that could be in the Star Wars universe. And I think they really were successful at that. So, roar! Yeah, I mean, because, yeah, like, you walk into, like, the starport or the town or whatever, and it feels like, you know, like you're, you know, like walking through almost in some ways a place kind of like Mos Eisley. There's something that I was kind of surprised by, is like, as you're walking along, there's actually these relatively nice, like, places that are just like forests, it almost feels like. I mean, a forest path in some ways, and then, you know, these rock, you know, like, cavern, well, I was thinking, well, I guess they're kind of... Unfortunately, I've only seen it once, and again, I have not actually been to Galaxy's Edge, but there's parts of me like, as a Star Wars fan, I'd really like to, so, roar! But yeah, I mean, there's, you know, it definitely feels like it's in the Star Wars universe, and they really worked everything into it really well. Like, there are these, like, carts that I think are clearly meant to look like Coca-Cola, like stands or carts or something like that, but they're all, like, you know, grungy and beaten up, and they're written in that, Star Wars language, so I'm sure if you translate it to, you know, it'll say something like Coca-Cola or soft drinks or something like that, so, roar. So yeah, it's definitely a really cool place, and I have a feeling that there will definitely be people having watched this are going to say, yeah, I totally want to go there, and we'll be booking, maybe not immediately, but we'll eventually be booking a trip there, so, roar. Yes. So we're now on to the Rise of Resistance, quote-unquote, walkthrough, where, again, I don't think they've ever done this, where it's like they've literally made a video of someone going through the ride. I mean, again, you could say, well, I've been through the ride. Well, I've seen the video. Why should I go through the ride? Because it's definitely not the same thing as being there, and that's what they're really trying to do with these kinds of rides. You know, there's so many things to look at, and even just as in, you know, just watching this video, I mean, like, you know, I've seen a special of Rise of the Resistance before, and I kind of knew some of the things that were going to happen, but even so, there were still a lot of things I'm like, wow. Like, I think for some reason it's like, you know, the car that you're riding in, I mean, for starters, this ride is primarily, you know, I'll call it a car ride, where you get into this cart and you know, basically are ferried around the, driven around this environment and all that, but it actually starts off with you just, you know, like, in some ways, getting a briefing from Rey, and then you walk through this thing, you get on a shuttle, but then, oh no, we're under attack, what do we do? And then the shuttle gets captured by the First Order, and then you get pulled into the Star Destroyer, and then eventually get into the car, and all that stuff, so... So, a lot of stuff happens before you even get on the ride in some ways, so, roar. Yeah, I was going through, behind the attraction on Disney Plus. I love this series! I really hope they make more, but it's been a couple years, so sadly I don't think they will, so... But anyway, yeah, they showed the story behind not only how the rides were made, but how, you know, but also about them, and you know the story behind them and all that. So, roar. But yeah, so I knew some of this stuff already. But yeah, so when the car like comes up from like behind this corner, and you're looking up at these two giant walkers, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. If I was here, I would be, if I was really there, I'd be really impressed. It's like, look at the walkers and be like, wow, just look how big they are, and yipes. So yeah, again, so like, yeah, you could, again, there's two sides to this, that, yeah, you could go on this and say, oh, that ride, I totally don't, oh, I've seen the ride, I totally don't want to go on that ride. Ugh. Or, I've seen what the ride is like, no, I don't really want to go on it, so, or I don't want to go all the way, I don't want to go to all the trouble and expense of actually going to one of these parks to go on this ride, so, thank you, but, no thanks. But I'm sure there'll be lots of other people who are gonna go, oh my gosh, that is just so cool, I want to go and experience this for myself, because, yeah, again, going through behind the attraction, one of the things that a lot of the Disney rides now have is that there's just so much stuff to look at and go through and stuff that it's impossible to see it all in one ride. So, like, yeah, I'm sure this camera operator is just, the camera operator is just instructed, okay, just, especially on this ride, just point the camera forward and keep it forward and stuff, and I'm sure at certain points, like, okay, like, look up at the walker as we're going through it and stuff like that, but, yeah, there's stuff to look at and going on around you all the time, so actually being there, you will see and experience so much more. And another thing that I was kind of interesting to note was that there was a lot of people whose job was just to point you. It's like, just stand here, point, go that way. Because yeah, I think part of it is that, yeah, because you're in this big, you walk onto essentially a big Star Wars set, and I think there's two things. First, like, yeah, where do I go? The other is, ooh, isn't that cool? Isn't that amazing? Sorry, sir, I know you're enjoying this, but you gotta move along. We have another group coming in a few more minutes, so... But yeah, it's probably mostly to be like, yeah, go this way. Yeah, oh no, I didn't like the emergency exit signs, but that's one of those... Hey, you gotta have the emergency exit signs, but in some ways also did kind of help to serve to, again, go that way. But yeah, there was a lot of people whose job is just to stand there almost like guards and stuff, and which I think is actually kind of good in some ways. I mean, obviously you've been taken prisoner. You'd think that you would be guards and stuff, and yeah. But still, I think that's good. Again, I mean, it's also good because, hey, you know what? Yeah, you could just put, an animatronic figure there. But hey, this is an actual person that obviously, as you walk past them, that oh no, this isn't a figure. This is a real person. So in some ways, that's good. So okay, enough of that. But overall, I actually really liked that. I mean, if I was there, well, obviously, if I was there, I'd probably go on all the rides, to be honest. But, yeah, am I gonna take a special after watching these, am I gonna go and, like, go to this location, go to Galaxy's Edge and go on this ride? I'm not quite sure, but it's incredibly tempting to, so... I mean, something else that I learned that I think I'm just gonna, in some ways is sort of off topic, but it's like, I learned that you can't actually cosplay at Galaxy's Edge, or any of the, parks, because, the short answer is it would cause trouble, so, like, basically, some people's cosplays are just so good, it's like, how do you tell who's the cosplayer and who's the staff? So, it's stuff like that, but that really bums me out, though. This would be such a cool place to cosplay as, But yeah, but after thinking about it, I totally understand why, but regardless, Galaxy's Edge and these rides are really cool looking, and as a Star Wars fan, it is incredibly tempting to go there, which I'm sure is what these videos are attempting to do, and I think overall they were very successful in what they were trying to do. It was really cool, and it was, in one way or another, and regardless, it was definitely cool that they released these videos for May the 4th, and overall, I really enjoyed them and I liked them, so, roar! And, yeah, and now on to, Star Wars, The Underworld. In some ways, I'd love to review this, but I have not actually watched them yet, because I've only just learned of them now, so... But I really like the idea of going down this kind of road of like, let's explore the, these quote unquote underworld characters. No, they not quote unquote, they are underworld characters. They are essentially, in the criminal underworld of the Star Wars universe. And yeah, see what happens with these characters after the Clone Wars. Like, why does, how and why does, Ventress go down the route that she does, which was briefly touched upon in The Bad Batch, but has not really been touched upon until now, it appears. And also Cad Bane, and see, what happens next for him. Alright, I'll just say this. It's like, yes, I'm aware that I think we see what happens to him in an episode of the Book of Fett, but I've not actually seen that, so I don't know what happens to him, so... But still, in any case, I think it is interesting, to do the stories that basically we haven't done. That, yeah, I was thinking, like, I love Clone Wars. It was a great series, but yeah... If we had added, like, more episodes and more missions to, like, the clone trooper stuff, which we loved, in some ways all we're really doing is just adding, like, more missions and just, we're not really moving the story forward or doing something we haven't done before. So, yeah, I really liked this idea of, like, let's tell the stories we haven't told. Let's go and learn about the characters that we really are interested in, or that we haven't learned about, and let's tell their stories and see what happened to them, because a lot of things happened at the end of the Clone Wars in that period between, Revenge of the Sith and, the first Star Wars movie. A lot of stuff happened that hasn't been told. I mean, unfortunately, as we learned from Bad Batch, is that this is not a happy period. It's a difficult period because a lot of things are changing and stuff, but still, there's a lot of interesting stories that could be told here, and I hope that they continue to tell those stories. So, roar! It's tempting to continue forward with my own ideas of what I would like to do with the Star Wars universe in some ways, but I think we're gonna leave this here and maybe save that for another video. I hope you enjoy May the 4th and all the new Star Wars content, and as always, the Force will be with you. Always. So, until next time, this is Blue Star. Stay strong and pony on. Blue Star out.